A lot of people don't realize that in the day when the reservations were set up, it was almost like a concentration camp because you were isolated. You figure all the natives came from this part of the country and were pushed to the Oklahoma areas like that, where there was no, you missed your roots or your farming. A lot of natives were farmers, and you can't grow much in Oklahoma. There were just no resources, so you were literally starving. You were starving to death. The 60s and 70s, based on what was going on in African American history, with the civil rights movement, actually spurned Native Americans to come out of their sort of hiding places and become active and let their voices be heard. So you've got guys like Russell Means, who started the American Indian movement with a couple of other folks, and that started that I don't know, the wheel to move to include Native Americans in the whole political and social structure of the United States. And at that point, the only kinds of things that brought Native American issues to light happened to be documentaries, like your PBS, in the 70s, actually brought to light the plight of Native Americans on reservations, and they also started interviewing natives, so you got it directly from the native's mouth as opposed to being taught by or told by a narrator or something, or a scholar that knew nothing about their lifestyle. And that encouraged Native Americans' voices to be heard by themselves. So at that point, they decided to a lot of natives were now being able to go to college. Some of them had opportunities where they could actually via the government support to go to university, and many of these natives, like Gary, they decided, okay, let's go in and get the degree if we need it to have to have clout or to have a voice, and let's make our own movies, let's write our own script, let's tell the real story. So a lot of the stories that did come out of that happened to enlighten and educate people on Native issues. You figure black folks, we had a lot of problems too along the way, but there was a prominent presence. Natives were always invisible, which did them no justice at all. So through the 70s, when the American Indian movement became prominent, you had issues like Alcatraz in the 70s, when Alcatraz was taken over by Russell Means and a few other folks. And that's when a lot of Native issues were started to become right in the forefront of what was going on in the United States. At that point, Native Americans become educated, they were becoming organized, because there was little or no organization, and that divided, the divisions and the reservations it was a key component and tactic to keep Native Americans not only isolated, but divided. So there was really no voice. So now these folks are starting to go to college, minds are coming together, a lot of the connections of other natives are joining forces with the movement, so you can get all nations together.